Hello, Andrew here yet again, and it's episode 94. And we've now moved into Matthew chapter 6, continuing on the Sermon on the Mount. And today we're just going to look at verse 1. We're going to look at the first 4 verses, but today it'll be just verse 1. But we will read the first 4. Beware of practicing your piety before others in order to be seen by them, says Jesus. For then you have no reward from your Father in heaven. So whenever you give alms, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do, in the synagogues and in the streets, so that they may be praised by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you give alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your alms may be done in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. As I said, today I'm only considering verse 1. Beware of practicing your piety before others in order to be seen by them, for then you have no reward from your Father in heaven. The word that's used here for piety is dikaiosune. And in the New Testament, in the NIV, the New International Version, it's translated as acts of righteousness. Dallas Willard, who's one of my favourite commentators, describes it as follows. The best translation of dikaiosune would be a paraphrase, something like, what it is about a person that makes him or her really right or good. For short, we might say true inner goodness. Now, I've heard him describe it exactly that way. True inner goodness. Here's the thing though. True inner goodness is something that's on the inside. And what we have here is about what is happening on the outside, what it is that we're doing. It is that, the true inner goodness, which motivates us to do the right thing. And I want to suggest that Jesus is inviting us to always do the right thing. Not so that others will think well of us, praise us, and so on, but simply because it's the right thing to do. And in the end, it's not how others think of us or feel about us, it's how we think of ourselves or feel about ourselves. And the one to whom we have given an account, what that one thinks of us as we live in or out of integrity. Doing the right thing, though, can often come at a cost. Sometimes there's a sacrifice involved. It may cost us a job. It may cost us promotion. It could even cost us a friendship. Doing the right thing can sometimes bring us into conflict with others. Yet, the trade-off is that it will reduce the amount of conflict we have within ourselves. Well, hopefully. Sometimes we can regret something and say, well, that wasn't a very clever idea. I wish I hadn't done or said that, even though it felt like it was the right thing at the time. Because in this text I'm only sticking to verse 1, the issue is whom we are playing before. Those around us, our friends, or those we wish to impress, often not our friends, but somewhere in us there is a need to be thought well of by others. We can care more about what perfect strangers think of us than those whom we know and who know us well. This verse simply, it seems to me anyway, addresses our felt need to impress others. There is a sense that when we do this, we put our value, what we think of ourselves, in their hands. The need to be liked by others is a tyranny. It's a terrible taskmaster. Believe me, I know. It undermines our integrity, our sense of ourselves. We say and do things that are not true to our deepest selves. How many crimes have been committed by those whose sole aim has been to impress someone or to win the approval of another? And having sold their souls, what length will people go to make sure they stay in the good books of the one they have now come to consider their benefactor? At the risk of getting back to a familiar trope, the current US White House is a classic example of people sacrificing their personal integrity to pledge loyalty to the one who has the power to make, or more importantly, to break their lives. The tragedy is that that person doesn't reciprocate, doesn't seem to recognise the need to exercise any loyalty toward them. I recognise I'm not immune. I like to be liked. Actually, it's been really important to me. I like to be well thought of. It's also important to me. And I'm aware that there are times that I'll avoid conflict if I sense that the price may be too high for me personally, even though I consider that the matter in contention may be important. Our sense of self can be so quietly and so easily undermined. As I've said so many times before, it's the little things that matter. This doesn't mean that there's no room for compromise, though. Of course there is. On things that, in the end, don't really matter. When only our pride, or our need to be in control, or our need to show others that we are someone are at stake, they're the kind of things we can actually let go of. They're the kind of things we can surrender. They're the kind of things that we can compromise on and say, well, my integrity is more important than those things. These are aspects that we need to be able to let go of. I once read a quote by the US President Harry Truman, who said, "It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit." I'll repeat it. It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. I think he's absolutely right. Yet there is a drive within us that wants to be seen by others in all our glory. We prefer that others were the ones who blew the trumpet for us, of course. And although we might be momentarily embarrassed, being the modest souls that we are, we like it nevertheless. It's very human. And to be working in a group where we want to be recognised. We want our contributions to be recognised and to be honoured. And we like it when people say, well, actually this was Andrew's idea. This was something that Andrew came up with. Andrew was the one who put us on the right track. Andrew was the one whose suggestions actually got us to this point. We all like it. We all like it. And perhaps if we thought that someone else was going to get the credit, might not be quite so keen to share. As I said, it's very human. Yet at the heart of kingdom living is a living relationship with God. This is not about what others see. That becomes secondary, the consequence of a rich inner life. The last part of the verse reminds us that we live before an audience of one. Beware of practicing your piety before others, your acts of righteousness before others, in order to be seen by them. For then you have no reward from your Father in heaven. It is this audience of one that is of central importance. Because this one cannot be seen and is only accessed by faith, it's easy to forget and to imagine that it's those around of us, most of them relative strangers, who need to be impressed by us. Our acts of righteousness, our acts of piety, our wit, our wisdom, our cleverness, our generosity and kindness. We need to impress those around us. It's as we live in response to the only one who really matters that we find our lives spilling out to bless others. those around us, each according to their need. And here's the thing. We no longer need to be seen as wonderful. The need of the other in itself is a sufficient motivation for action. And anonymity brings its own reward. There is something genuine, something real, something affirming in this. When we're motivated by compassion or the need to do justice, to do the right thing, rather than playing to the crowd, which in the end is always hollow and ultimately leaves us empty. And sadly, we feel a need to do it all over again. Yet when we're motivated by compassion, as I said, by the needs of others, by a deep, deep desire to make a real difference, to bring wholeness and healing, and be willing to pay the price that that might require, and to recognize that in the end we play again before that audience of one, that we know a deep sense of being okay with God and with ourselves. God bless you.